Things you shouldn't put in your Geometry Dash level, 2.2 edition, which is a totally original idea that I made up all by myself. This video is clearly inspired by the GD colon video, but that one was made 6 years ago, and by now 2.2 has been out for quite some time, so I decided to make a video about all the new features. Now, before this video begins, I want to warn you that most, if not all of the things named are solely my opinion and don't inherently contribute to a negative impact on the game's experience if they're done well. In short, this video is made only for entertainment. But you know, as a star grinder and member of the GD community, I feel obliged to make a video about complaining about literally everything, so yeah, enough yapping for now. Part 1. Classic Gameplay. And by that I do not mean gravity pads or portals or whatever. No, I'm talking about the gravity trigger, the one that lets you meet your alien buddies above your level or drag you to the ground so much that you can't even make a one-block jump. The main problem comes in when people use these triggers without a warning, like you just go through your average gameplay when suddenly, large jump. Which is fine with most game modes, but if you're something like Robot where you already have to calculate each jump's height, you'll find yourself blasting straight into the sun before even noticing. While we're on the topic of gravity, let's address the F-blocks. I mean, they're already pretty useless, considering you can just replace them with pads and portals and whatnot, but making the player guess if they're even there without any indication is confusing and probably pisses off a lot of star grinders. Do you sometimes just play a level when the camera suddenly decides to shift out of your sight, or when it randomly does a full 360 rotation in your face? Well, I've been there and it made me die more often than I'd like to admit. While they are one of the most crucial additions in 2.2, and I know they're damn hard to use, placing arrow triggers in the wrong spots confuses the player. Like, what am I supposed to do when I'm thrown in the backrooms for a second just to come out at the other side of the screen and have to gamble with my eyes trying to figure out where to end up next? Now this one's kind of nitpicky, and I do think that spider orbs are actually great, but sometimes they just feel like a quirky replacement for blue and black ones. Especially the fact that they teleport the player up or downwards and add this ugly camera cut to your level doesn't make them a good alternative. Before 2.2 we had the yellow portal that flips you upside down, and the blue portal that, you guessed it, does the opposite. Now with the addition of the green portal, we finally have something that flips your gravity no matter what it was before. And it's great, mainly for platformer levels and classic levels with multiple paths. It only gets annoying when people use it just to replace blue and yellow portals. Like I mentioned earlier with the spider orbs, it isn't necessary and only makes your gameplay more confusing at times. Part 2. Platformer Gameplay. For a platformer level to stand out and get a rate, there has to be some creativity put into it. However, doing so by stuffing gimmick after gimmick in it, say double jump, wall jump, weird power-ups and other fancy stuff, only makes your level more overwhelming and leaves more players complaining about the awful execution of said gimmicks in the comments. In this case, it is best to focus on the overall gameplay and visuals of the level instead of packing it with all sorts of doohickeys. By now we all know that recreating another game inside of the GD editor may be one of the most impressive things out there, but at this point the controls are usually so bad you can simply just exit GD and play the actual game instead. Of course, the release of 2.2 brought GD closer to being a literal game engine, but if you already have the skills to remake a game, why not make something original next time? Now this one's got to be my least favorite out of the bunch. If your platformer level has cutscenes, it's best to place your checkpoint after it's over. And no, I don't want to watch the camera pan over the section for the 5 millionth time whenever I die. Stop doing that! Ever since the tower, moving platforms and obstacles have pretty much become standard in platformers. However, as the least patient person in the world, I hate it when they're moving so slowly that every time you miss the platform you have to wait. And wait. And oh, there it is. Sometimes making them just a little bit faster doesn't harm you and your level. Going back in a level is not inherently a bad thing, it actually makes for some fun gameplay in story-based levels, but forcing the player to backtrack all the way to the beginning just to grab a collectible or enter a new path can get annoying at times. While 2-player mode can enable more controls and therefore more possibilities for gimmicks and such, it can sometimes drastically decrease the enjoyment of your level. Like, have you ever tried navigating a jetpack with the W key? Horrible, I know. That one's self-explanatory. The addition of the random trigger has significantly enhanced making boss fights in GD. However, randomness shouldn't be the only thing the player should rely on to beat them. Long boss fights with multiple phases and without checkpoints can also quickly become a nuisance, especially when paired with more random and unpredictable attacks, so obviously they're always hated on in the comments. Ah yes, ice blocks. No one likes them. And sometimes, if not most of the time, they make you slip up and land in pits of spikes. It already annoys me when they are present in a level, but putting them in bad places can make it really hard to build up momentum, or give me too much of it. Changing the speed of a dash orb can create really fun and original gameplay. Unfortunately, you can easily ruin the experience by either shooting the player against a wall or turning the action of dashing into a boring, eternal chore. Part 3: Effects and Decoration. Where do I even begin? Shaders. They're amazing, unless you use too many of them. Not only does it make the gameplay an absolute pain to sight read, it also makes your level unplayable for those playing on a toaster. While text objects are often used to give players lore and info on a level, they can sometimes become utterly useless with a simple pixelate shader. If you want me to know what your NPC is waffling about, at least put the text on a layer that isn't affected by the shader. The hue trigger allows you to change the colors of anything in GD, and that includes the player, but also orbs, pads, and portals. But sometimes changing the colors of those can lead to confusion, like what am I supposed to do if that orange orb acts like a blue one? I guess that's what the colorblind option is for, but that shouldn't be a reason to use it. With 2.2 came a large selection of pixel blocks, and by large I mean very large. You get what I mean. Of course, sometimes creators find creative ways to combine those with other non-pixel blocks, but if you are going for a retro game look, I suggest sticking to those pixels, and especially not warping them in ways that might end up ruining said look. To be honest, object warping has got to be my favorite feature in all of 2.2. You can stretch and shear blocks any way you want, but it goes without saying that sometimes you have to stay away from it. Scaling objects too much lowers their quality, and warping texture blocks in weird ways can ruin your design, or at the very least make it extremely hard to align blocks with each other. As a wise man once said, everything is possible in 2.2, and that includes somehow manipulating the time it takes you to respawn. Some creators decided to mess with players by making death effects abnormally long, practically forcing you to hit the R key every time you die. I know it's all fun and jokes, but at least give us an option to toggle it off. Part 4: Music and Sound Effects. Sound effects can enhance a level's atmosphere and make for a lively and sometimes funny playing experience, but I don't really need to hear a loud every time I jump or perform any action whatsoever. Also be careful when using them in classic mode, as they're a common source of complaint amongst GD players. I'm not here to give advice, but make sure to set the music and SFX volume to the same level before playtesting. Now this one has been a thing since way before 2.2, but with the addition of the music library, especially with NCS, it is easier for creators to just click on the first song they like and call it a day. Like, come on, I don't want to hear the same 5 stock songs over and over again. Now this one might be a bit biased since I'm a music artist myself, but with the song edit trigger you can basically skip to any part of the song, or if you're feeling really fancy, use multiple songs in a level. However, in most cases people simply can't use the trigger because they make songs cut off in the weirdest places, get you to anticipate the drop but abruptly change to a different section. And usually the transition doesn't sound all that great. Oh, I can't wait to play this new platformer level. Hope I won't have to... Oh, do I really need all 400 of those sound effects? And alas, downloading all of them is taking me longer than actually beating the level. Now, enough complaining. Those are all the things I found especially infuriating in GD 2.2. If there's something I missed, feel free to drop it in the comments. I'm currently trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so if you don't want to miss out on new videos, make sure to hit that button too. Huge credit goes out to GD Colon for inspiring me to make my own version of his video. But yeah, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye!